start?
Sure, Dave. Thanks. We are very excited to talk about our project. Obviously, there's many reasons that we are building this new Children's and Women's Hospital. One of them alone is to provide some privacy for our patients. Currently, in our current hospital building, we have double and 4 patient rooms. And so this will give us the opportunity to provide private rooms for the patients and families. Also, our current building is a size and a shape that doesn't fit today's technology. So it's really important for us to have a building that we can put the latest and greatest technology in as well.
We're also able to, with this new facility, house more comprehensive programs for our pediatric and women's services all in one building rather than having them scattered throughout our medical campus.
How and why has the design of hospitals changed since the current MOT was built more than 40 years ago, I believe, in the mid-60s?
Sure. Again, back to the thinking at that time was ward mentality. So you put patients or adults or pediatric patients in a ward, very open, multiple patients. So in today's environment, the interest is in privacy, having families be able to be with their child. One interesting note was it used to be you would drop your child off at the hospital and leave, and then the hospital would call you and say, come back and get your child. In today's environment, we certainly have a different opinion where we want the family to be involved in a part of the care.
We also have a need with hospital design now versus 40 years ago to accommodate more technology in the patient rooms and in other diagnostic treatment areas. And so we've been able to design this new facility with all those things in mind.
So the rooms will be larger?
The rooms themselves are larger and accommodate both the equipment that we're talking about, technology, and also space for parents, families, siblings, to bring them into the care process.
So the rooms are larger, but with a single patient?
Correct.
True.
And I think that brings up a very good point about the philosophy of family-centered care. And MOT administration is very committed to recognizing that when a child is ill and there are the entire family needs assistance, and the entire family needs to be present to help with the healing of the child. So all of these new plans for the new hospital are taking into consideration that parents are not visitors, and that, yeah.
And we shouldn't forget this is also a women's hospital.
That's right.
There's some of the features that are particularly designed with women and new moms in mind.
That's
Can you tell us a
true.
little bit about that?
So we have a concept in this new facility called single-room maternity care, which is very much the trend in women's services. And so we're able to keep a woman in the same room throughout her whole stay. So a mother can labor in the same room and recover there afterwards, or stay in the same room before and after a C-section, and recover right with the baby. Also, in addition to those other women's services, the building also has space for other amenities that maybe weren't considered 40 years ago. Things like child life playrooms, things like lactation rooms for parents or for new mothers, kitchens, other types of family amenities. Kelly, you may be able to add some more of those.
Family Resource Center that enables families to stay connected with the external world. Often what happens are families are very isolated unless they can get some type of connection. It's very difficult for a family to leave the bedside of their child, or and so by having these centers that provide business services and provide basic needs types of services, it's really helpful.
When you say business services, can you describe that a little bit more? What do you mean by that?
Sure. The new hospital will have a designated space that will include copiers, printers, that type of thing, so that families can stay connected with work if they do have an extended stay at a hospital.
And Dave, we'll have that in a variety of different places. So we have within our Family Resource Center the ability to go and access the internet or computer and have copying, faxing type of capabilities, as well as on the inpatient floors themselves, so that the family has choices on where to go to have their business needs met.
What are some of the trends in patient care that influence the design of hospitals today?
Certainly, one of the major trends that you see in healthcare literature relates to patient safety. so that we're very concerned that what we're building creates safe care for the patient. Again, the private room will help us do that. It helps us have one patient in one room, one caregiver in that room, that we can focus on the needs of that patient. We've limited entrances to this current building so that families can feel comfortable that we are keeping an eye on their comings and goings, and they feel safe being in our environment. We also have the plans to have a physical person or a greeter on every floor, so that if you get up onto the buildings, either the clinic or the inpatient side, and you come off and you're not exactly sure that's where you are, we'll have a person greeting you and saying, welcome to this floor, how can I help direct you? So we're trying to do a variety of different things to help our patients feel safe in their rooms, as well as our families feel safe as they travel through our building.
There are also some trends in terms of the amenities that we mentioned earlier, referring again to the women's services, the single room maternity care that I mentioned earlier. In addition, we have some designated rooms with tubs to allow moms that comfort while laboring, which is definitely a trend in new hospital design.
I've seen an acronym, LEED. Who wants to talk about LEED?
Sure, we can start with that, and that is the Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. And essentially what that means is, as we put our building together in construction, we consider environmental friendly materials. We consider different light sources that help reduce energy conservation. We talk about on the roof of our building, we are actually going to have what's called a green roof, so that if you ever have the opportunity to be up on our top of our 12th floor, you'll see shrubbery and grass. That helps us with some water conservation in terms of running off into the physical location beside the hospital. We are, in our project, going for certification of LEED, so we will be one of the first children's hospitals to attain that certification.
Great. Sounds good. What was the design process like? I don't imagine it was done in a short period of time. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Who was involved and how long did it take?
Sure. We started, it seems like forever ago now, because we've been working on this for a long, long time. But a project really starts in what's called programming. So it has to do with black and white numbers on a piece of paper. Who do we think will be in the building? How many square feet do they need? What kinds of services do they provide today? Do we want it to change in the future? And it really becomes an accounting balance sheet almost of what space do you have now, what space do you need in the future? And then we quantify square feet in total. That was part of the process that led us to our 1.1 million square feet. That was primarily done at more of a director, executive level in terms of choosing what would or wouldn't be in this building. After that was completed, and that took probably 2 years, so don't quote me on that, but about that long. And then we went right into schematic design. So Jackie could talk to us a little bit about that.
Sure. The schematic design process was basically where different user groups were gathered. So we decided who we needed to be involved in the design process. So we chose to highly involve all of our users, anybody who was going to reside in the building. And so we had multidisciplinary groups of doctors, nurses, social workers, housekeepers, a whole breadth of experience and expertise involved with the planning. So we had over 60 user groups involved with our design process, both schematic design and future stages. And those user groups were involved in 3 rounds of schematic design, where we decided what the shapes of those rooms would be that Lori talked about, and what adjacencies were needed. So what needed to be near other services in order to minimize travel time for patients and also efficiency for staff. And so that process took probably around 6 months, 6 to 9 months to get through that process. Following that was design development. Lori, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. So if you can think of in your mind schematic design almost being bubbles of people living next to each other. So we talked about our women's floor. Our women's floor is a complete comprehensive floor. So we talked about their clinic, their triage, their PAC area, their single room maternity care. How could it live together on one floor? We did that with a few services. Our ICU floors, our beds are all on one floor. We have our Michigan Congenital Heart Care program that will live on one floor. Our radiology department is next to our orthopedics clinic, so that makes sense for some adjacencies. So in schematic design, they're big bubbles of we want these spaces to live together. When we get into the design development, then we have to take every single room and every single space, and we have to fit it out like you do your house. So electric, lights, switches, what type of furniture will be in there, what type of medical equipment will be in there, what are the requirements for air handling in those rooms. So it gets very, very detailed, very quick. Again, in that process, we used all the user groups that we'd used previously, including families. We said, families, you're important. You're going to live here. You need to help give us some information. So we engaged Kelly and other family members in helping us talk about what's important from their aspect.
Throughout the entire process, Mott Women and Children's recognized that families have very valuable input into the design of the new hospital. As professionals, you have a pretty good idea of what you think families and patients need. However, getting the voice of these patients and families was very helpful, and that's where I got involved with the project. As a parent of a child that went through treatment, I sat on multiple committees that we would share our input about layout of the rooms and the types of amenities that are needed and that type of things.
And you involved other parents.
And we did,
in
and we
that
have
process.
panels, right.
Good. What are some of the features of this new hospital that might surprise what we might call the man on the street? Someone who isn't familiar with the design and maybe has only been to the hospital as a visit.
I think some of the family amenities might surprise the man on the street, especially any man on the street who's had a healthcare experience. Things like our business center. Also, we have an exercise room for families who have patients there on extended stays that's open 24/7. Our family resource center that Kelly mentioned that allows everything, an escape for families, education for families, as well as those business needs. And then also things like the fact that we have wireless throughout the facility so that families can stay in touch at a place that's comfortable for them. So if that's at the patient's bedside, if they don't want to leave their family member, they can do that there. And then they could access that from our cafeteria or from any other space within the building.
Technology is changing so rapidly that probably by 2011 there'll be things you haven't even anticipated yet. I know there's shelf space in the hospital, space that is not yet designed. Can you tell us anything about that, or is it just there knowing that there'll be needs in the future?
Sure. As you go through our building, we kind of start with our entrance floor that has our visitor amenities. So our gift shop and our chapel or retail food kind of on that area. As you go up in the building, then we start with our diagnostic areas and our OR areas. Both of those, our operating room suite has the ability to grow. We're going to open with 12 ORs when we open, and then we have the ability to grow 4 more ORs. So we are planning on having that need. We go into the radiology department. What we have planned there is potential growth for additional technology, whether it be an MRI or a PET scanner, or whatever it is that the radiologists think is our up-and-coming technology. In our OR floor, we have planned actually for the future of a interoperative MRI. This is also one of those new trends in healthcare that we're seeing being toyed with in different institutions. So this is something we're going to plan for up front and know it's going to come. When we get into the inpatient floors, then obviously we have to plan that we'll need more beds than what we currently have. That's been the scenario at the University of Michigan. We've been fortunate to be able to have a patient population that visits us regularly. So we've planned for some growth. We have an entire unit that's shelled, a 32-bed unit that could be critical care or moderate care or general care, whatever the needs are. So essentially on every floor and pretty much within every department, we've created the ability for growth, knowing that's what our future is going to hold.
And with the building's infrastructure, we've left growth for overall technology growth, so that if there is a new type of technology that needs to be applied system-wide or building-wide, that we have that capability as well.
That's great.
One of the, so to pause just for a minute, Dave, on the technology question, one of the things we're very excited about is the interactive flat panel display that we have planned for in every patient room. And our vision for that really is that it will be a television for the patient or a computer for the patient or the family. We're hoping that it becomes room service. So the patient or the family wants to order food, they can do it via this interactive television. It could be a video game, an Xbox game, something like that. And then we're also hoping to do patient education through that. So we're really excited about the ability that we're going to be able to provide in the patient room for the patients.
That sounds very exciting.
Yeah.
We've talked some about families, but can we talk a little bit more about how modern hospitals are designed specifically to serve families? And Kelly, you've had a lot of experience as the parent of a child who's needed care at the current time.
Right. Presently, as Laurie had mentioned, there are a couple of patients to a room. And so privacy issues remain, I would say, at the top of every family's list. This new hospital will absolutely solve this problem with private rooms and with private bathrooms, sleeping spaces for families, the ability to have families not leave the bedside and order the food that they require to, just to meet their basic needs. So the new hospital is really, working toward helping the family get the rest they need, get the food that they need, and be able to communicate effectively with the staff as well as the outside sources.
Okay. How is your role as parent coordinator then continuing to bring family and patient input into the process?
A large part of my role is absolutely getting a diverse background of people from diagnostic standpoints as well as from cultural, racial, religious types of backgrounds so that we can get a snapshot of the customers that U of M serves. And I am forming councils where we will be a formal council that is advising senior management as well as physician leaders as to what the needs are of families and patients.
Great. Well, one of the things we're really excited about is the fact we're going to have a second Ronald McDonald House inside the new hospital. And I think you've got a schematic there.
I do.
That shows a little bit about that, because these are some of the important families that we at Ronald McDonald House certainly concerned about. Can you tell us a little bit about what that's going to look like?
Sure, Dave. We're really excited to have the Ronald McDonald House within our new hospital setting. And what we're hoping to meet the interest is of the patients of the parents of our most critical patients who need to come here. So I'll refer to a little bit. These are our public elevators, and then this entire space here is our parent accommodation, Ronald McDonald House within our hospital. What we have is a central lounge where families can come and socialize, have dinner. There'll be television, refrigerator, microwave. We also have a small laundry area so they can wash their clothes and have what they need. We'll have a receptionist so that, again, when you enter this space, you're greeted by a Ronald McDonald staff member who can help you in this area. And then what we have are 12 individual sleep rooms that accommodate a sleep bed as well as a sleep chair, a private shower, and closet space for up to 12 families. We know that this will be a space that families will come to and they won't have brought anything. So we consider there will be shower supplies within the bathroom. We'll provide the linen and the towels and the blankets and the pillows for the families.
Tell us about the location.
The location is on our 10th floor of our new hospital building, which is also housing our peds cardiothoracic unit and our peds ICU unit. So those are our most critical patients.
Right. And as I understand it, those ICU units will actually have a place for a parent perhaps to stay with the child, but a second parent could be in the Ronald McDonald
You're
House,
right,
and
Dave.
then they could swap.
Yep, within every ICU room, we've created the ability for a parent to stay and be part of it. So yes, this would be helpful, yes.
Okay. Well, people ask what will be its relationship of the house within the hospital to the existing house with our 29 rooms. It will be governed and managed by the same board of directors and staff as the existing house. We look forward to serving 12 more families each night with this state-of-the-art hospital that you've heard about here. I want to thank Laurie and Jackie and Kelly for sharing so much helpful information. Our two websites will appear on the screen for those who wish to learn more. And we're going to close out with a virtual tour of the new hospital, which will give you some idea of how it looks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Japal. 2 years ago, I received a kidney transplant. When I was 21 years old, I started dialysis, and for 7.5 years, I was a patient receiving treatments 3 times a week for 4 hours each session, and man, it was hard. My father had kidney disease, so I knew what was to be expected when my kidneys failed. After receiving my kidney transplant, I was able to find and marry the love of my life. She's just someone I can joke with, somebody I can cook with. I appreciate being able to be the husband that she deserves. When I was sick, I barely had enough strength to walk across the parking lot going to the movies with my brothers. But after my transplant, my strength and energy came back, and I was able to run around and play with my nieces and nephews, which is very important to me. My kidney transplant gave me my life back.
You have the power to donate life. Be an organ, eye, and tissue donor. To find out how, go today to giftoflifemichigan.org.
It sure feels good to play like a kid again.
Hi, my name is Nancy.
Hi, my name is Priscilla and I'm 11 years old.
Priscilla had a heart transplant when she was 2.5 years old. She was 3 weeks old when I took her in the emergency room, and at that point she had a size of a 1-year-old heart. It was very frightening knowing that at any time I could lose my daughter. When Priscilla had a heart transplant, her surgeon then told me that she would not have survived one more day without the transplant. My daughter right now is in 5th grade. She's doing a lot of things. Last year she started playing the violin. Nothing is out there that she can't do. She goes swimming, she bikes, she loves to play jump rope. Because of this experience, I have learned to appreciate the smaller things of life.
You have the power to donate life. Be an organ, eye, and tissue donor. To find out how, go today to giftoflifemichigan.org.
I'm John. I was blinded in a chemical explosion that left me blind for 30 years. I was given my sight back through a cornea transplant. All I had wanted was to see my children for the very first time. When they removed the bandages, I looked across the room, and sitting there was my family. I could see them.
You have the power to donate life. Be an organ, eye, and tissue donor. To find out how, go today to giftoflifemichigan.org.
Hi, my name's Tyler. I'm 15 years old. When I was 11 years old, I had bone cancer, and it looked like I was going to lose my leg. Thanks to the tissue transplant, I'm a regular teenager and pretty good golfer. I do have a scar on my leg. The scars do come in handy when I'm talking to the ladies because I tell them that it's a shark bite.
You have the power to donate life. Be an organ, eye, and tissue donor. To find out how, go today to giftoflifemichigan.org.
Hi, I'm Tracy. I've had a heart transplant. Without this heart transplant, I would actually not be around anymore. The heart transplant has given me my life back. It's allowed me to have a son. I'm able to take him out to the park. I'm able to push him on his bike. Anything that a young mom loves to do with her kid, I do.
You have the power to donate life. Be an organ, eye, and tissue donor. To find out how, go today to giftoflifemichigan.org.